I would like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, March 8th. It is not Tuesday, March 18th. It is Tuesday, April 1st, 2025. We are meeting in a hybrid format. Some folks are at Casco Bay and some folks are online via Zoom, including me tonight. The bug that is going around in our district hit my household, and so I'm feeling quite under the weather. So we'll be facilitating from home. Also, we have Board Member Bryden and Vice Chair Bondo zooming in, as well as Student Representative Kantiba. And is Ali in person or online tonight?
I'll be online but I'm headed there, so I'll be in person.
Perfect. Perfect, Board Member Ali. So with that, Dr. Warren, would you please call the roll?
Ali.
Here.
Member Yusra Ali. Vice Chair Bondo.
Present.
Member Bryden.
Here.
Member Lena.
Present.
Member Noor.
Here.
Member Opperman.
Here.
Student Representative Fitzgerald. Student Representative Kantiba.
Here.
Student Representative Lee.
Here.
Student Representative O'Brien.
Here.
Student Representative Ziegler.
Here.
Chair Lentz.
Present. Thank you. And now the Pledge of Allegiance, which Board Member Opperman, I might ask you to lead in the room, please. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it
stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Portland Public Schools recognizes the original inhabitants of the land on which our city and schools stand. The Wolastoqiyik or Maliseet, Micmac, Penobscot, and Passamaquoddy tribes, known collectively as the Wabanaki Confederacy or People of the Dawnland. We are honored to have Wabanaki children among our students today, and as a district, we are committed to making the past, present, and future of Wabanaki peoples visible in our schools and classrooms. The Portland Public Schools is responsible for ensuring a challenging, relevant, and joyful education that empowers every learner to make a difference in the world. We build relationships among families, educators, and the community to promote the healthy development and academic achievement of every learner. And for the Portland Public Schools, equity is all people being held to high expectations and having access to opportunities that are reflective of their individual needs, identities, and experiences. Equity is achieved in the Portland Public Schools when there are no identifiable difference in outcomes and experiences for any population subgroup. Up first tonight, before we have regular public comment, we have a public hearing on our budget. So we're going to be opening up the floor to give public comment on the budget. And as a reminder, tonight we're going to have the first read of the budget a little bit later in the evening. And then at our next meeting next week, we'll be having a second read and a vote on that budget, an additional opportunity to give public comment next week as well. After we finish this public hearing on our budget, we will move into normal public comment, which is available for anything else not budget related. So if you would like to give a comment on our budget, you can raise your Zoom hand and come up to the podium here in this space in the great room. And Henry, I'm wondering if perhaps you could change the lens of the camera. Perfect. Great. Okay, so I'm seeing no Zoom hands, so go ahead and come up to the microphone and you can give your public comment there.
Thank you, Chair Lentz. My name is Laura Rosen. I live on Edward Street in Portland. I am just here to make public my support of the budget and the process and the way that it centers our students and our families in an attempt to really ensure equity and joyful, all the stuff you just talked about, Sarah, in terms of the mission of the district, the budget really serves that and moves us forward along that path. So I really want to thank you all for your hard work in that. I was wondering too, I can't stay for the whole time. Can I make a comment on the calendar?
Let's get through everybody else's.
Okay.
And then you'll be able to. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's totally fine. If I'm still here, I will. Otherwise, I'll have somebody else do it.
Okay, perfect.
But yeah, so just thank you again for the process. I also just want to acknowledge the fact that when we're talking about all of our students, we're talking about our multilingual families and our trans kids and our non-binary kids, and it just really pleases me to be in a district that just acknowledges the humanity of all of our kids. So thank you.
Thank you. And just realizing I didn't read out public comment guidelines. So I'm going to do that now before we have another public comment. So members of the public may speak about the budget, or when we move into public comment, any subject directly related to the operations of the schools, except for personnel matters or complaints concerning specific employees or students, which shall be addressed through established policies and procedures. If an item is on the agenda, please use the public comment time associated with that item. Comments are limited to a maximum of 3 minutes or 6 minutes for individuals using an interpreter to make their comment. Individuals may not relinquish a portion of their allotted time to another speaker. The board may not respond to comments, and please refrain from responding in the audience. Speakers must refrain from engaging in disruptive conduct, including but not limited to using vulgar and or obscene language, threatening others using words or by other actions, using pejorative or discriminatory language with reference to a person or a group on the basis of their religion, ethnicity, nationality, race, color, descent, gender, or other identity factor, making defamatory comments, exceeding the allotted time limits, talking over or interrupting others, offering repetitive comments, and offering comment on matters unrelated to the school district's programs, policies, or operations. I will stop any public comment that is contrary to these rules. To give public comment, please come forward to the podium and raise your hand, and then introduce yourself, and we can go back and forth. I'll keep the time and let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining. And if you get to the end of your time and would like to request more time, you may do so. So I would be looking for any other comments on the budget for tonight.
Good evening. My name is Shoshana Hose. I live in Portland, and I'm in my 28th year of working for the Portland Public Schools. I was hired in the late 1990s as the district's first communications coordinator. And in that position, I was in and out of all the schools, seeing and helping to publicize some of the best teaching in the district. That's how I learned about adult ed. Shortly afterward, I began volunteering there as an ESL tutor and classroom aide. I knew early on that I was very interested in teaching at adult ed, but I could not figure out a way to do so that was sustainable, given the low pay and the lack of benefits. Over the next decade, as I continued to volunteer there, I went to graduate school. I earned a certificate in teaching ESL and a master's degree in teaching ESL to adults. And when I was 60, I decided to take the risk of giving up my central office job for one that paid 1/5 of what I had been making, and which involved taking on the full cost of my own health insurance. I did so because I really felt like I had something to offer, but it came at a personal sacrifice, one that many people cannot make. I love many things about the job, but I do not feel good about the two-tiered pay system there. Most of the teaching is done by hourly teachers such as myself, who are paid at a flat rate of 26, I think it's 78 an hour, and we have no benefits of any kind. But 18 or 19 teachers are covered by the by the K-12 contract. So they're paid a professional salary with benefits that they deserve, and we all deserve. And we teach right alongside them. We do the exact same work as them, but they're being paid two or three times more than we are. I've created a lot of the curriculum materials that are used at ESOL 5, and for a while I was a level leader, which meant I was orienting and mentoring new level 5 teachers, some of whom were being paid a great deal more than me. That's just not a fair situation. The district's attorney has said that hourly teachers like the flexibility that comes with working in a part-time
30
hourly
seconds,
job.
Shoshana?
I'm sorry?
30 seconds?
Okay. The implication seems to be that we have a casual attitude towards our job, but I can assure you that the hourly teachers at Adult Ed are incredibly dedicated despite the low pay. We're there week in and week out, year in and year out for decades, some of us, teaching most of the classes at the school, and we deserve a much better deal financially. Thank you.
Thank you, Shoshana. Is there anyone else in the room that would like to give? Yeah, you can come on up to the podium.
Thank
You
you.
can go ahead when you're ready. Go ahead.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rita Miguel. I live in Yarmouth. I'm a student at Portland Adult Education. And currently, I'm working as a nursing assistant med tech, and I'm making $27 per hour. But you guys might be questions, what's the relationship between being a CNA and the teachers? Well, I believe that as a healthcare worker, we are one of the backbone of the healthcare industry. But the teachers, they are the backbone of the society. I'm here today because I believe that our teachers deserve a fair payment, benefit, respect for the critical work that they have been doing. As a nursing assistant med tech, I don't think it's fair to make the same amount of money as a teacher. PAE is more just as a school. It's a lifeline for many students. It helps parents, workers, and community members to gain the skill that they need to find the jobs and build a better future. For me, only took me 3 months to become a CNA and 1 week straight to become a medication aide. But the teacher, they don't just teach, they support us, they guide us, they cry with us, they uplift us, they believe in us. But I have one question for everyone. Who is supporting them? They are not being treated fairly. For years, the pay has been remained the same while the cost of living kept rising. Many of them work more than half time. They yet receive no benefit from the street. What's the retirement plan for them? How can we expect them to give the best for the student when they struggle just to take care of themselves? Portland Public School has made a commitment to equity, but the true equity means to make sure that people who's educated and empower our community are treated with the fairness and dignity. Low payment and the lack of benefit make it hard to PAE to keep great teachers and bring the right staff. As an
30
immigrant,
seconds.
thank you. As an immigrant, I know what is fight for the better life. They deserve a fair payment. They deserve a benefit. They stood for us, but now it's our turn to stand by them. But I want to say something. If you guys take care of our teachers, it's not going to be just for their benefit. It's going to be for us too. It's going to be for our community. So I want to ask, please guys, consider for the best payment. Thank you.
Thank you.
And we're back. Again, my name is Nico Wales. I'm a tax-paying resident of the city. I live off Chesley Ave. I have a bunch of nieces and nephews in PPS, as well as my 5-year-old daughter in pre-K. Again, when I see that you guys are asking us to increase taxes, yet again, you say it's a small leap this time, but small chunks over time add up. But when you ask for more money, I go and I start thinking about the 80 plus staff at my school and what they had to go through this year with no help. I think about the 400 kids and their families and what they've had to go through with no help, most of which still don't know. It's great that we have a long-term sub, but 400 kids went 4.5 months without learning. If you take 5 minutes to look it up, you'll find the statutes the state legislature passed because they're so important. But no, let's just ask for more money. Let's, admit we made a mistake, move on. It's just really tough as an employee of PPS to swallow that, I made a mistake is an acceptable answer. Because that really wasn't the standard that we all saw earlier this year. So it starts to kind of wonder what standards employees have to go by as opposed to others, but that's another thing. Again, more money with zero transparency, no accountability. It's baffling to me. I asked for a vote of confidence. You want to give people raises. Just surrounded by a bunch of people who are making these decisions for kids who, when confronted with facts about kids not learning and the negative impact that causes, you either get no response, you get angry, you get told that you'll be followed up to. These are important issues. We'll get back to you. Not one of you guys ever got back to me, really got back to me. That's terrible. Or just told it's somebody else's job. Those are the people that are making the decisions right now when 400 kids aren't learning. I got a 5-year-old in the district. She's in pre-K right now. You guys are stuck with me for 13 years, right? Regardless.
30 seconds.
But again, you're asking for more money when you're not even giving the tax-paying citizens the decency of being transparent and honest. It's outrageous. And since you guys won't do it, I've had to do what I've had to do, as you all know. If you check your emails, most of you don't. But I had a great 1.5-hour conversation today with somebody who did take me seriously. And maybe you'll answer their questions instead of mine, because this is ridiculous.
Time.
Thank you to the staff at Lincoln. You are doing amazing work with those kids, and the kids are doing amazing work.
Is there anyone else in the room that would like to give public comment on the budget?
Hello, my name is Lily Kendall, and I work for Cultivating Community in Portland, Maine. We are a longtime partner with the district on nutrition, garden, outdoor, and experiential learning opportunities for students for over 15 plus years. And we are just very excited to see that the current environmental literacy educator positions were sustained and included in this budget, as these positions are not only essential to students' access to outdoor educational opportunities, but also uphold essential district curriculum such as STEM and Wapanaki studies. And we will continue to support these educators and school communities, but can't do it alone. So this is why we are in support of this budget, and just want to thank you all for your hard work and thoughtfulness on this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room or in Zoom? Go ahead.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for hearing my comment. My name's Vanessa Sylvester, 159 Central Avenue. I'm an hourly teacher at Portland Adult Education, and I'm also a parent of 3 bulldogs. And I just want to say, I am in support of this budget. I have always been a supporter of Portland Public Schools. And I just want to say, before I talk about Portland Adult Ed, I want to urge you to continue to keep all of the staff in the district that does the hard work of providing education and enrichment for our students. And I just have to say, for my 3 kids, from K to 12, ed techs, teachers, the wrestling coach, paths, they wouldn't be where they are without the staff here. On that note, in this budget, please, always keep them, like I know you will, in their mind. Portland Adult Education, I've been a teacher there for about 4 years. I'm an hourly teacher. I love my job. I love Portland Adult Education. I love the service that we provide to our community, to our employers. And I'm very proud to be there. Unfortunately for me, as an hourly teacher, it's a hard job for me to keep because I don't have health benefits. As we've heard in other testimony, the wages are stagnant and there's not really a pathway to a benefited position in adult education. So I would urge the board to consider addressing our issues and having a conversation. We are in contract negotiations. We hope to meet again soon. And we hope to be able to come to a conclusion that works for everybody. I really want to keep working at adult ed. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in the room or on Zoom that would like to give public comment as it relates to the budget? Okay, I'm seeing no one in the room, and I'm seeing no one. Oh, you can come on up. Are you here for the budget or the general public comment?
Good evening. My name is Dwight Scholes. I'm an hourly teacher at Portland Adult Education. And I took early retirement from a career in business a couple of years ago to teach at PAE, precisely because it's such a special place. And right now I'm actually getting a master's degree at USM as part of that mission to teach there. And as part of my master's research, I'm going around the country and looking at different adult ed programs in Pennsylvania, New York, California. I'm going to Indianapolis week after next. And one of the things that's really come true to me is to see what a special place Portland Adult Ed is. And one thing we haven't really talked about is the ROI for this community on the relatively small investment that is being made in that program. We as a state have a demographic challenge. As we all know, we're the grayest state in the country, and folks who move here from other countries are a key to our success economically and socially in Maine. And Portland Adult Ed provides the language programs that are fundamental for immigrants and refugees to become part of this society and the economy, in addition to the job training that it does. And so when you look at the fact that the majority of the teachers at Portland Adult Ed are paid substandard relative to their colleagues, it flies in the face of the equity mission of this district. And it also is just not good sense economically in terms of investing for the future of the state. And we're talking a relatively small amount of money to offer some degree of parity to those teachers like me who want to make a commitment and want to remain here. My fear is that if we don't address this issue, you're going to lose some very, very good people. Someone like me can afford to go somewhere else or can afford to not get paid. But there are people for whom this is their primary source of income. And the fact that there are no benefits, no equity, and a rate of pay that, as you've heard already, is substandard and stagnant, I think flies in the face of the equity of this district, the equity commitment, and also the common sense for the well-being of the state and the city. So I really want to encourage you to think about that. I know we live in very dark times, and we live in very economically challenging times, but it's a drop in the bucket for a very long-term payoff. And I really hope you'll consider continuing the conversations that you're having. Thank you.
Chair Lentz, can I talk? Oh, she's muted. Okay.
No, you're fine.
Hi, my name is Lucy Schulman. I am a resident of North Deering here in Portland, and I am a teacher at Portland Adult Education. I teach ESOL, and I've been serving for the last, 8 months, I want to say, on the bargaining committee. Our team was very surprised to hear that the school board chose to file for mediation. As I've said, we've thought that members of a board that affirmed their commitment to equity so often and so publicly would immediately see the inequities being perpetuated at PAE and work to address them. And I'm very disappointed that that hasn't been the case. We've tried to be reasonable, knowing that the district faces budgetary constraints, and we have endured some pretty gnarly insults from the school board. There are 30-ish of us, and that wasn't our choice. We have to be flexible, and that wasn't our choice. The district wanted us to be flexible. It was appalling to me to hear your lawyer tell us that the board only considers time actually spent standing in front of students to be work time, and thus we should consider ourselves already overpaid. We were offered, as a cohort of veteran teachers with advanced education and experience, a raise of 54 cents an hour. It was appalling to hear your latest proposal of a raise accompanied by a decrease in prep time. Why would a board that has committed itself to equity propose decreasing the quality of our students' education? And now mediation. We thought we were approaching a deal, and then we found out that the Portland Public Schools has no problem spending $150,000 a year on a strategic consultant, while we get 54 cents in 3 years. Chair Lentz, I know you care deeply about equity. Vice Chair Bondo, you are our esteemed colleague in the work that we do. Dr. Opperman, you've always been a champion of teachers. Miss Lena, you're one of us. Miss Ali, I voted for you. And Miss Noor, it's clear how much you care about a strong school system. Miss Bryden, I voted for you too. And I know you know enough about labor law to recognize the injustice of this situation. I'm going to be graduating with my master's in ESOL, like my man Dwight back there, in a few months with a sparkling resume of education and experience, thanks to the investment that the Portland Public Schools has made in my education. I was a student at Adult Ed 10 years ago, yet if nothing is done, if this district can't offer me appropriate compensation, I'm leaving. I have to. I'm queer and I need to be financially independent without any sort of partner. I'm disabled and I have to be able to support myself. I can, have, and will swallow just about anything for my students, but I'm doing them a disservice if I stand idly by knowing that the role of a teacher is a privilege where they won't be able to follow. We've asked for parity with our peers. The board is fighting with taxpayer dollars to maintain a systemic inequity within the largest school in this district, and this cannot and will not stand. I urge you as a teacher and as a taxpayer and as a voter to settle this contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Lucy. Is there anyone else in the room? Okay, I see Max Storm online. Max, if you wanted to, I'm gonna bring you off mute. Go ahead when you're ready.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, great. Hi, my name is Max Storm. My pronouns are they, them. I'm a resident of District 3, and I'm here to stand in solidarity with my community tonight. I'm trans and non-binary, and while I've never studied in the adult ed programs, they have tremendous value for LGBTQ+ people. I've heard Dr. Scallon's speech about standing for trans students and athletes, and I'd like to remind the board that trans kids become trans adults. Do you know how many trans people seek asylum in the USA due to the danger of being queer and or trans in their home countries? Do you know how many trans people have to quit high school due to dangerous living situations and familial abandonment? Portland Adult Ed is essential towards making sure people who have overcome those obstacles still have access to education, and you should be ashamed for being yet another obstacle in the way of the desperately needed education and the upward mobility these people need. If you want to make sure that trans people are actually welcomed in the PPS community, make sure that adult ed is properly equipped. That means making sure teachers are properly compensated. When wages stagnate, the quality of the talent stagnates too. The current status quo is exclusionary, and not just to immigrants who bring so much to our community, but to trans people. Consider that trans people often have specialized medical needs and may not be in a position to take jobs that don't offer health insurance. PAE has been hiring IT people half a dozen times over the last couple of years, but I can't afford to apply because your benefits don't address basic medical needs, let alone specialized care. Reducing this issue to non-voting immigrants is also not only offensive to our immigrant population, but systemically excludes dozens of other vulnerable communities and deprives you of the opportunity to tap these massive labor pools. Please consider the broader implications of your actions when negotiating with any bargaining unit. It goes so much deeper than just the members of the union. Thank you, and good luck to you, Adult Ed.
Thank you. Jason Shedlock, whenever you're ready.
Good evening. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, we are.
All right. Thanks very much. My name is Jason Shedlock. I live on 199 Prospect Street, and I am also the president of the Southern Maine Labor Council, as well as the Maine State Building and Construction Trades Council, which is a collection of 20 labor unions representing about 7,000 workers around the state. I wanted to weigh in today, especially obviously on the contract for the sisters and brothers and kin who work at Portland Adult Ed. I've negotiated plenty contracts in my career with the members that I'm privileged to represent. And at the end of the day, we need to make sure it's about the how, not the if. There's no scenario in which an educator should be treated as less than. And I don't think that the district is intentionally doing that. But the message that you're sending, if indeed the parity issue on pay isn't taken care of, it's a message that we're not only sending to the teachers and teachers in neighboring jurisdictions, but to the students. These are students that, as someone in one of my hats that I wear is in the construction trades, some of my members have gone through Portland Adult Ed programming. And I'm very proud of the work that they're doing for us as members of a labor union, making a middle class wage and has a pathway to retirement. So I would urge the board and those negotiating on their behalf to come to the table. Mediation, while there's a place for it, obviously it's a little bit nuanced in the state of Maine in that it's perhaps not as final as many would like it to be, including myself. That being said, I would urge you to return to the table in good faith and talk about the how, not the if. Reaching parity. And I appreciate everybody's work. I know it's difficult. I've been in this issue, and I just as a parent of a child in middle school, as well as a voter, as well as someone who's privileged to represent so many Portlanders in the labor movement, I would just urge you to maybe refocus efforts. And we have plenty of other things to worry about that are coming from outside of the city, from outside of the state. I think we can handle this one internally among the family. So thanks very much for listening.
Thank you, Jason. Is there anyone else that would like to give comment in regards to the budget? Okay, I'm seeing no one in the room or on Zoom, so I'm going to close the public hearing for the budget and open up just regular public comment. I know there was someone in the audience that mentioned wanting to give public comment about the potential calendar. Now would be the time for that. We don't have a vote on that tonight, so you can give public comment now. You can come on up, Laura.
Thank you, Laura Rosen, 59 Edward Street. And I am just here to express my strong support for adding Eid and Yom Kippur to the public school calendar. We've been talking a lot about diversity and equity and how we may or may not be always meeting those goals. This is another avenue toward reflecting the diversity of our community and helping make people feel belong. It's not everything by any means, but as somebody who grew up Jewish in a very non-Jewish community, that was not something that I ever experienced. And I would love for my kiddo and his Muslim friends and his Jewish friends to also be able to have those holidays recognized and have that kind of cultural history and religious experience acknowledged by the district. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to give general public comment? Okay, come on up.
Thanks. My name is David Burke. I live on Glen Garden Street here in Portland. I had two children who went through Portland Schools K-12. I'm here to speak on behalf of Phone Free Portland Schools. And I know it's not on the schedule for tonight, but I know there's a meeting with the Curriculum and Policy Committee next week on April 9. And I know Dr. Ahmed has a group working that's full of parents, that's comprised of parents, administrators, teachers, and students that are working hopefully concurrently. And I'm just trying to keep this issue on the front burner and try to encourage you all to get this work done before the end of this school year, so we could start September with a full policy, and a policy we support, which is a bell-to-bell phone-free policy. I know you guys have seen a lot of the basic facts of it. I don't need to unravel it all, but you can walk through any of the schools and see the phone issue. You could see what's going on and immediately say, oh, this is obvious. We see it sweeping the nation. This is going to happen in Portland schools. We are going to be bell-to-bell phone-free eventually, and the sooner the better. And the real issue is if we're going to do a good job with it, or if it's going to happen in a way that's really not manageable and not successful. Right now, 96% of all teenagers across the country, across every socioeconomic group, have a cell phone. They average between 7 and 9 hours on those phones, and a lot of them are right here at our school. Those hours, every time they touch a phone, they're being exploited by corporations that don't have their interest at heart, not a bit of it. And that's done with our sanction and with our support, and that's flat out wrong. There's been no public health challenge that's ever happened in the history of schools like this. This is the greatest single challenge schools have ever faced around public health for the students, for the teachers, for the education of the kids. We need to give these kids more time to grow, not more time to scroll. We need to give teachers the ability to teach in the classroom. I never want to see a teacher, and I work all here at Casco Bay, and I see every classroom. I never want to see a teacher again have to say to students, let's start today by putting away our phones. I'd rather hear them say, let's start today by learning something that's going to change your life. You're going to become a better person because of this hour you spend with me in learning right now, not let's keep your phone away. So I encourage the board to keep on the timeline, to keep it tight, to keep the public coming forward. If people want students to have their phones, have them here at this podium speaking. Thank you. Have those people who want students to have their phones speak publicly and have them on the record, have their opinions held up to the same scrutiny that I want mine held up to. And we want phone-free schools, bell to bell. Teachers want it, parents want it. Students say they'll take it if every student has it, not if they're alone. And we want the process done well and right and done this spring. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? I see no Zoom hands. I see no one coming up to the podium. Oh, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for coming in here. I've been here for over 20-something years. When I graduated from pharmacy school and I got my doctorate degree, I moved in here to live for 3 years. back then when I came in here, we don't have a number of Muslims. We are very limited Muslims in here. But now we grow faster, and we have a lot of Muslim community in here. And when we had a prayer for Eid prayer a few days ago at the Expo Center, like 4,000 people showed up. So it was a good thing. However, and for my daughter, she has to miss a class. And we really want us to celebrate our 2 holidays a year. And if you can guys put that in the calendar, we'll really appreciate it. So we don't want our kids to miss the class because of that holiday. We are here. We are not going anywhere. And then we need to be included in this community. And I do a lot of volunteer work for Maine. I love Maine. I'm here for good until the day I die. So I want to make sure my family, my friends, to have the best opportunity in Maine. So please, please, please consider that for us. And we really appreciate that if we can do that for us. And that's the thing. The second things I will really address that about the phone. And I agree 100%. We need to challenge our kids. We need to challenge them. We want them to be, we are the lowest in Maine. And this is the state I love the most. And I want our kids, our generation to be empowered. And our young girls, young brothers, and we just want them to be successful in life. And please, let's challenge our kids to be successful. The phone is the games they can play anytime. When during school time, there is no phone. I'm sending my daughter to learn something, not to play game. And let's focus on with the phone part. And I saw a number of teachers is really affecting them that, and they cannot.
30 seconds.
So we really appreciate on those things, the calendar and challenging our kids. Thank you so much.
And I didn't get your name at the beginning. Would you mind just saying your name?
I forgot my name.
That's okay. No.
My name is Maza Muhammad, Maza, Mazda without the D.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Oh, you can't hear me. Thank you. Is there anybody else that would like to give public comment either in the room or on Zoom? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to go ahead and close public comment. Thank you all for your participation tonight in both of those issues. And now I'm going to move into my my remarks for tonight. First of all, I just wanted to thank everyone that has come out to our community conversations across the community to talk both about the budget and other issues in the district. Our last opportunity to be part of those conversations is going to be tomorrow night, and there's a virtual meeting from 6:30 to 7:30. And so we hope that you will take the time to join. You can ask questions about the budget or anything else that is on your mind. And as those community conversations wind down, we've started to have conversations at all of our middle and high schools with students. This series of conversations kicked off last week at Portland Adult Education. The students there were curious about how to access more classes, how the school is funded, and if there are options for more parking and public transportation. The students and staff we met also showed tremendous appreciation for everything happening in the building and spoke a lot about how their courses impact them, their children, and their extended families. There was also a lot of eagerness expressed about joining the Portland workforce and contributing to our community. I encourage board members to attend these sessions as they are incredibly powerful. We also have a couple of events coming up. So we have Sips, Sweets, and Stories on April 16th from 4 to 6:30. This event benefits our Make It Happen program and is going to feature a wide assortment of international desserts. And I've seen the list and it looks all very tasty. So thank you to our multilingual department for organizing this, and it will be a wonderful celebration. Another celebration coming up is our Spring for Teachers. One second. An event that honors our educators and raises funds for the Foundation for Portland Public Schools. And it's happening on May 14th from 5 to 7 at Bunker Brewing Company. This event also celebrates our alumni and is a great opportunity to learn about the foundation and all it does to support our district. There's usually also live music from our students and great food from restaurants around Portland. And finally, a legislative update for everyone. So last week at the State House, the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee heard session 2 of 5 about recommended changes to the state funding formula for schools, otherwise known as the EPS formula. This session focused on recommendations for changes around the way that special education is funded and around the regional adjustment that is used to account for differences between geographies across the state. One proposal that was suggested is to use a cost of living adjustment for different locales as opposed to a labor market adjustment, as is the practice right now. Simply put, that would base the funding on the cost of living as opposed to the salaries that are currently paid in a location. The presenters referenced potentially using the MIT cost of living calculator as their basis, which is also a tool that we've been integrating into the Portland Public Schools. There did seem to be consensus in the room that the funding formula written in 2004 simply does not reflect the current reality, but also acknowledge that getting changes to the statute is long and tedious. So once all of these recommendations are on the table, the committee will basically decide the path of what happens next. And we anticipated taking quite some time for there to be bills introduced to change the statute. There will be more on this, but it's something that we're watching closely, and we'll ask the community to advocate as the time comes. And now we have our report of the student. And tonight we have PATHs, I believe. Student Representative O'Brien, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The weeks between February and April break are busy season for PATHs. Currently, PATHs has been hosting visitors considering fall 2025 enrollment, and the visits are going well. We are on track to have had over 600 visits by the end of this season, and as of now, we've carried out around 400. It's also certification season between February and April break. Students are completing program certifications through third-party organizations. PATH students are participating in the Skills USA competition. For anyone who may not know, Skills USA is a national organization that empowers students to become world-class workers, leaders, and responsible citizens through career and technical education competitions. This organization offers students the opportunity to compete and showcase the skills they have developed at career and technical education programs like PATHs. PATH students brought home 10 medals this year from the state level. Gold medals were awarded to Harrison Benke from Gray New Gloucester for automotive service technology, Shane Merrill from Yarmouth for automotive maintenance and light repair, Bridget Dunphy from Scarborough for collision repair technology, Nikita Yurkovich from Wyndham for automotive refinishing technology, Sloan Rodan from Falmouth for medical terminology, and Anastasia Dawley from Gorham for the state pin design. A silver medal was earned by Chase Cook from Gray New Gloucester for diesel equipment technology, and bronze medals were awarded to Dylan Rickards from Greeley for power equipment technology, Brody Tracy from Gray New Gloucester for carpentry knowledge, and Nora Edwards from Falmouth for the state t-shirt design. The gold medal winners will be eligible to go to nationals. PATH students also competed in the Scholastic Art Awards. This competition is nationwide. Nearly 110,000 teenagers entered more than 310,000 original works of art in 28 categories. Their work was selected by leaders in the visual and literary arts for excellence in originality, skill, and the emergence of a personal voice or vision. Nola Delcourt, a Casco Bay High School senior, won a national gold medal for exceptional work in the editorial cartoon category with her work entitled The Fast Food Underbelly. Anastasia Dolly from Gorham High School was awarded a national silver medal for exceptional work in the painting category with her work entitled The Pains of the Artist. At the Maine regional level, Paths had 16 students awardees overall. Recognitions ranged from Gold Key and Silver Key to Honorable Mention in the categories of comic art, animation, digital design, illustration, and painting. There are about 1,000 submissions to the contest throughout the state. You may not know, but Paths has a maple sugar house. Recently, kindergarteners from Portland Public Schools had the opportunity to come visit and learn about Wabanaki culture during that time. And lastly, upcoming students in the music program are practicing for their showcase. This will take place on May 14th and 15th at 6:30 p.m. in the Hill Arts Center at 76 Congress Street, and you can buy tickets online at the website. This concludes my remarks. Thank you for your time. I'm happy to answer if there are any questions.
Thank you, Student Representative O'Brien. I would look to the board to see if anyone has any questions. You can raise your Zoom hand, or that would be ideal if you have a question for Representative O'Brien. Yeah, Board Member Opperman, go ahead.
Thank you. Which should I use? Okay.
Turn off yours. And turn your sound off. There you go.
All right. There we are.
There you go.
Okay. Just shut my computer off. That's all I can do. Member O'Brien, I appreciate your comments. I appreciate the fact that we had an individual from Casco Bay that did so well at the national level. That's pretty amazing. And there are a lot of other areas. A lot of automotive stuff was mentioned, but what are some of the other areas that students participate in?
I'm pretty sure there's a skill set for each that applies to each program at Paths. And I know for the education program, students go and compete for lesson plans with certain materials in a specific amount of time. So there's really an opportunity for each skill set through each program.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Student Representative O'Brien, I'm curious. I'm curious from your perspective if there is like one piece of the facility of Paths or program area or, a room that you feel like really needs attention. Like if there was like a place to invest in Paths, like what do you think would make a big difference if there was some investment in the building or facility?
I'm sure each student or staff member has their own opinion, but I've heard from a few students about the garden shed at Paths has had some issues, but I don't have any details on that personally.
Okay. I'm just curious, as I'm spending more and more time in Paths, I'm just curious what students see as potential ways to improve. Does anybody else on the board or any other student representatives have a question? All right. Well, thank you so much for that update. And I also just really appreciated that you named all the other students as well and the things that they are being honored for. So thank you again. And now we're going to move to the superintendent remarks. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to you, Superintendent Scallon.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. First, just want to start by sharing just Eid Mubarak for our board members, community members, and students who are finishing the celebration or in the middle of celebrating Eid. As at least one community member or two community members mentioned, excited to have that in the proposed calendar for this coming year to include Eid in there. Today, Dr. Opperman and I had the opportunity to join King students for lunch, and it was not just a good conversation with a bunch of sixth graders to hear about what's going on in sixth grade life, but to also join them as today was the start of our district offering halal meals at all lunch services. And so it was just a very exciting time to be able to be there for the kickoff of it and to participate and to actually partake in one of the meals. And I won't speak for Dr. Opperman, but I would strongly recommend that on Mondays, if you have the opportunity, it is a good meal. And so fully endorse it. But that did not happen just by chance that happened, but it took years of advocacy as well as just the technical work to really understand how that could happen. And that work took place by community leaders as well as leadership in our food service staff. And so I'm actually going to yield my time to both Khadija Ahmed, who's a leader in our community who helped get this going, as well as Jen Montague, who is our food service director, who is going to give an update on this initiative, as well as some of the other work in food service. So I'm excited to invite them up to the podium.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Khadija Ahmed. Thank you for having me. I didn't really think this meeting will be this draining to me as a person. Teacher are worth way more than this. I'm here to advocate about food, but I must say teacher are worth more than this, and we shouldn't be, as a parent, we trust these men and women to watch our children for 8 hours every day. If we didn't believe in their ability to love and care for our children, we will not have a school system. So go teachers, and let's do better for that. Anyway, on the good news, I'm here to talk to you about the Halal School Meal Network. I do have the paper, and I would like to pass it to you guys so you can hear about it more. This has been a labor of love for me as a parent, as an immigrant parent who has multiple jobs and leave my kid to the school to be fed. This has been one of the biggest worry to me. Children of color are often asked to perform better, if not twice as better as their white counterparts. Our children get here, they don't know the language, they don't look like the other children, they are not dressed like the other children, yet we expect them to work as hard, if not more. But then again, we don't feed them. We don't offer them food that they recognize, food that are culturally relevant to their custom, and we don't offer them food that work well with their body. So I was born the Halal School Meal Network. I'm supposed to prepare something to say. I was supposed to prepare something that I'm going to say, but I was like, you know what, I'll just wing it. Anyway, thank you to the superintendent. Thank you to Jen. You guys' support has been, you just made it. Without your support, we will not have done this. I worked on this for so long, me and my team, the Cumberland Food Council. We all worked so hard on getting halal served at the school. And it wasn't easy, but with the right support, with the right advocacy, we're able to get it done. Every school in Portland now will be serving halal school, will be serving halal meals. By the way, we are the first in the whole United States of America. So for us, yes, there is nowhere else in the whole United States where they are serving halal meals that has been third-party certified. We had to work with other partners who can come and help us certify the kitchen, help us educate the staff, help us change the way meals are served. What the Halal School Meal Network does is bring equity to the lunchroom. And I know when we think about lunch is free, then there is equity. There is no equity just because it's free. If our children can't access lunch, it's not free. And by doing the Halal School Meal Network, these are the improvements we have been able to implement. Now, when your kid is a vegan, they will be receiving vegan meal because the Halal School Meal Network did that. Now, if you are a vegetarian, your meal will truly be vegetarian because the Halal School Meal Network was able to exist. By allowing us to come and make these changes, we were able to bring a lunch that is more equitable for everyone. Thank you for listening. I'm sure I forgot a bunch of things, but hey, it's the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you. And the meals are delicious.
Well, thank you, Khadija. As Ryan was saying, I'm coming to this a bit late in the game, and I was really happy to be part of the team that brought it into fruition, but really so much hard work behind the scenes led by Khadija. And I'd like to recognize Zoe and Sam also, who are a part of the Halal School Meals Network. We also work in other districts in Westbrook and South Portland. This work is going on as well. And I also, I've learned so much about halal meals, obviously, stepping into this position. And I want to thank Khadija really because the way that she's embraced teaching me and teaching my staff has been so easy to learn. And I wish I could put her in front of every student and teacher or community member in Portland because what she has to share with us is so important. Sorry, I have a really rough voice today. I hope you guys can bear with this. I might start coughing, in which case I'm going to hand this over to you, Ryan. I have some other comments just to update people on other food service priorities. But if anyone has questions about halal school meals, I'd love to have myself or Khadija answer them before we move on.
Board members, yeah, Vice Chair Bondo, go ahead.
Actually, I don't have a question, but I have a comment here. Because I just want, I could stay quiet and watching Khadija just talking about that passion of her. And I just want to say thank you for the team. Thank you, Janet. Thank you just for that vision. Who really inspire us, you know, to see the change. That kind of change we've been looking for years. And since my kids, they were at school, they've been all the time coming home and saying, Mommy, so what's going on with the food? What's going on with the lunch? I didn't eat today. So it was so heartbroken as a parent, immigrant parent, then we could do anything to make it happen. But right now, there you go, we have that. And I'm so appreciative. And, you know, I'm your big support for them. So congratulations and keep doing the great work. I'm so proud of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Bondo. Board Member Lena, go ahead.
Thank you. Just one quick question. Are the meals, the halal meals, being served every day, or is it just on certain days of the week?
So we have a hot halal meal every day. 3 days of the week, it is also vegan. 2 days a week, it is a halal certified meat. And it's a 5-day cycle menu, so it may get a little boring. We'll probably change it every month as we hope to implement more complicated options.
Superintendent, go ahead.
I actually have my hand up for Ali.
Ah, perfect. Board Member Ali, go ahead.
Hey guys, so I'm here in person. I just got off the other Zoom. Apologies. So thank you so much for making the halal meat, accessible to all the students. Growing up in Portland schools, like that was, a big problem having to, even when it was pork, sometimes, we would have to eat the non-halal meats, but preferably we would like to eat halal because as our religion has stated. And secondly, it's the second largest religion in the world, and the great majority of people in other continents prefer halal meat. And even my own friends now, non-Muslims, are like, yeah, halal meat only. So we really appreciate all the work you guys have been doing. My question is, how did you guys identify where to go for the halal meat, right? So is it is it farm raised? Is it factory? And what's the process? And if you guys have any details on that.
So we are working on developing more local partnerships with slaughterhouses that are halal certified at this time. It's been challenging. Procurement has been the biggest challenge. And so we are working with a third party halal certification agency. Khadija can speak more to that, who is verifying the practices and saying yay or nay. There are some grants in place. We hear that, there's a chicken slaughterhouse. Khadija could probably speak to this better than my son, or bring her up.
So as I previously mentioned, we work with IFACA, which is a very big body of certification here in the United States. Their main office is in Chicago. So I had time with them in person where they came here, and I went there where I was trained to be able to certify the kitchen. Your question about the source of the meat, they are doing that part of the work. The beauty of having a third-party certifier is not only the checking all the ingredients that we're serving, everything that is in the school cafeteria has been checked. For it to be considered halal, it has gone through a bunch of scientists. It's a whole building. The time I went to visit there, this is the first time I have seen so many doctors, and it wasn't a hospital. Everybody there is a food doctor. All of them, their job is simply to identify items, identify the ingredients. So if Jen has something in her kitchen, we send the name to IFANCA, they look at it, they take the time and they certify it. If you look them up, you will see that they are all around the world. They are one of the very strongest body, because we made sure also that the third party that we brought in was the one accepted by most Muslims. So we won't have a confusion on this is from a different school of thought. So we are also working with, there was a slaughterhouse here in Maine called Commonwealth Poultry. They had closed. They employed only Muslim, but they closed. They are reopening, which is where we will be acquiring our chicken if we're serving anything that is chicken. At the moment, just because we are in Maine and it's so far, it's the last stop of, if you know anything about supply chain, we are the last stop. So getting stuff here and getting it at the school price where it's affordable, because the other point of making this equitable is that we have to guarantee that every child who's coming and asking for halal, just like your friend, will have it. So we won't segregate and say only Muslim kid will be able to access halal. We still have a long battle ahead of us. If you have an opportunity of voting for more money, please vote for more money. Jen needs more money so she can purchase that. But that's what we are working on.
Awesome. Yes, that was perfect. Thank you. And just, can you repeat the name of the company again?
IFANCA, here's thing for you. We have a bunch of them. I can pass them along.
Okay,
and please follow us.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget saying that. Our media person wanted me to say that. Follow us. Don't know why you need to, but it seems to be important.
Thank you guys. Great job and appreciate it.
I want to mention one of the requirements IFANCA has for our certification is that we have student advisory committees throughout the district. So we have 2 going right now, one here at Casco Bay and one at Deering High School. I'm looking for other schools who would like to have advisory members. So we're calling, IFANCA calls them halal quality management teams. So I'm checking in with students on a monthly basis to make sure that communication is good, that they like the foods that we're serving, that they feel comfortable eating them, anything that they might want to talk about in terms of halal meals.
Thank you. Board Member Lena?
Would you be looking for students at all grade levels, like in elementary as well, or mostly older?
I mean, it's been really easy to tap into some of these groups that already exist at the high schools that we're already meeting. So I'm meeting with the Muslim Student Union at Deering. It would be harder for me to identify, who would be interested, but I would, if we feel like we could figure that out and yeah, I am realizing more and more that, I always think with the elementary level, it's the parents who we want to talk to, but I definitely want to know what those little guys like to eat, right? Too, what tastes good. So.
Beautiful. And I just think, just so much gratitude to everybody that has worked on this for so many years. Like it really has felt like a movement. And I was just so excited to hear that it was happening already here in Maine and in our school district. So thank you for that. And I think it's also just like a great example of how an equity move can really benefit all, so that there are more people that can access this food that is, so I just think that is a great example. And I think it is also, we have done a lot of work introducing new curriculum that is more inclusive and diverse, but I think practices like this, we'll talk about it more when we get to the calendar. I think it's just like practices like this introduce new things into conversation in the lunchroom and help learning and connection around differences. And so I just think it's such a powerful tool. It might just be school lunches, but I actually think it really helps us build the culture and reinforces our commitment to equity. So just again, so much gratitude. And Jen, just thank you for the way that you have embedded yourself so quickly in the community and used community partners and young people to help drive your work. It's a great model.
Thank you for mentioning that. And I also especially want to thank Andy, who I think recently has really been working on funding all of this and has been a part of it from the beginning. So thank you, Andy. I do have other food service updates. I would love to breeze through them. It's probably going to take more time than you all want, but I'd love just this opportunity with you to mention a couple things if we're ready to move forward.
Yeah, go for it.
In line with what you just said, Sarah. So these are just the other things that we're working on, and a lot of them align with halal school meals. But we're working on providing more culturally relevant meals. Some examples this last month were jerk chicken with sofrito rice and plantains, obiata chicken stew with jollof rice, bulgogi Korean shaved steak with cucumber salad. We are working on, identifying what cultures would like to represent and what foods kids would like to taste. And so that's been, we're trying to elicit feedback in a lot of different ways. Some of these things have been really well received. Kids love seeing the plantains. Sometimes they're not used to seeing like a real piece of chicken. They want a processed piece of chicken. So I think it's going to take 2 or 3, 4 times of seeing something on the menu before people are feeling more comfortable trying it. We had a good conversation with Boston Public Schools, and we were initially thinking we'd menu something twice before knocking it off if it wasn't popular. They said menu it 4 times. So that was really nice advice from them. We're increasing the amount of scratch cooking that we're doing. So example, we're using Maine grains. We're making our own focaccia style pizza dough at the elementary level. We've been using these pre-made doughs that were really gross for a long time. Really stoked to be making a homemade pizza dough now. We're investing in training and cooking our staff, which in turn reduces the amount of processed food we're buying and serving. We're working on, one of my personal priorities is improving the nutrition of breakfast. As a dietitian and the students in the district, breakfast was super sugary. It is a really challenging thing to fix because I've also done a lot of student feedback, and students' favorite breakfasts are the donut sticks. So I'm sort of trying to find some healthier options that they still want to eat. That's a big challenge. I'm really thankful to have Sam from Food Corps working with me on that project, among other projects. She recently attended a conference in DC and secured a $5,000 grant for us to pilot some different breakfast ideas throughout the district. So can you stand up? Thanks, Sam. Sam's doing a ton of work for us. Basically, any fun project that I want to move forward, I don't have time for. I'm like, Sam, can you help me? So she has like 500 projects right now. And she has the energy for it, so we're thankful. And a farming background, which is fantastic. One of the things I'm most excited about, next Monday, so April 7th, we're collaborating with teachers and community partners, and we're going to be a field trip site for the New England Farm to Institution Summit, which is in Portland this year. So we're presenting the work that Emily Holiday has done, an experiential learning project where she had students create recipes and make videos of foods they'd like to see at school lunch. And then she had myself and other food service team members come and watch these videos and critique students. And it was really fun for us to be invited into the classroom and gave us some great ideas. I would say that almost every food that I saw was a handheld pastry with various savory ingredients like sambusa, empanada, all really complicated things to make at scale in a school kitchen, right? So at the same time, interestingly enough, May's restaurant contacted me and said, you know, we would love to sell you empanadas. And I was like, really? That sounds so fantastic. I bet we can't afford them. We worked with them on the recipe and they found us a price point that we could afford. So we'll also be serving May's empanadas on April 7th at the middle schools. So, and then at the end of the month in the elementary schools. So that's exciting. There will be more local partnerships. I'd love to work with PAS in the future. We'll get your garden shed fixed up and work with the culinary program. Another big piece, we're working with community partners and school partners on reducing waste in a number of different ways. USM and New England Environmental Finance Center have coordinated with Maine, and they're doing a bunch of waste audits throughout our schools. This has already been super impactful, and we've realized we could do a lot more quickly than we thought. So we've already switched to reusable flatware at schools where we have dishwashing capabilities. So King and soon Ocean and Rome. We're doubling our capacity for using reusable trays. I don't know if you've seen the amount of trash that school food produces in one lunch hour. It's kind of incredible. And then we're looking at the schools who are doing a really good job at mitigating waste. So at Rowe, they have an exemplary system led by the head custodian, also longtime coach Mark Madison. I don't know if anyone knows him. He is really passionate about waste mitigation. And so we're actually creating like an instructional video where we've interviewed him. And so we can hopefully help others who might want to implement that system. But I wanted to mention that he's saving the district $4,000 a year by throwing away half as much trash as they used to by utilizing recycling and composting that the city subsidizes for us. So, and then the last thing is that I'm forming a parent advisory committee. I got a lot of random parent comment in my email box, and so I'm trying to organize that and give parents a voice to support and come up with ideas of how to move food service forward. That's it.
Thank you so much, Jen. Superintendent, did you have a comment there?
Yeah, Jen, when did you start with the district?
October 15th.
Yeah, so we're almost to 6 months. Just a sincere appreciation for fully diving in and being willing to sort of take some big steps and some leaps and being able to say, yep, we can do this, and being able to say that over and over again. And I know there are things that you're saying, yes, we can do that too, that are not even on this sheet of paper that will be in the next update. So just sincere appreciation to you, sincere appreciation to Khadijah for, you know, beating the table and insisting on the halal meals and getting us to this point. And I hope that you just continue to do that so that it continues to improve. So thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm just saying yes, that really is all I'm doing. And this district was ripe for all these opportunities. So I'm just thankful to be in a community that supports good food. So thank you.
And Board Member Lena.
I just wanted to say thank you, Jen. I know you walked away, but that's fine. No, I wanted to also emphasize the importance of working on reducing the sugar in the breakfasts. I worked in the schools and I have elementary school children, and it's alarming what they're eating at breakfast sometimes, like pancakes with sprinkles in them. It just doesn't seem super necessary. So I appreciate the efforts that you're making, and I also appreciate that you're talking to the students to ask for their input. So thank you.
Yeah. I feel if I was in the room, I'd lead a really big round of applause. I just think this is incredible work. So just thank you, thank you, thank you. Really appreciate you all. Superintendent Scallon, is it okay to move into the elementary update now?
Yep, go for it.
Okay, perfect. So Dr. Atkinson-Duena, take it away when you're ready.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I have a little note to self not to follow food services the next time I'm up here. So you may find my presentation a little less engaging. I just have 3 short highlights. I wanted to celebrate our kindergarten maple Thanksgiving. I do have a picture of the Path's maple of the Path's sugar shack there. So if you haven't seen it, that's a little picture for you. And then I wanted to focus a little bit on leadership hiring, since that is taking up a good deal of my time this month. And then also I have one upcoming event for you. So this, like late March, our kindergartners went on, did their field work on Maple Thanksgiving. They got to see the sugar shack in action. They got to tap maple trees. They got to work with our Audubon partners around some of our Wabanaki units. And my favorite little quote from the evening or day from one of the kindergartners was, "This was my first field trip." And so I just, if you have memories of your own field trips from elementary school or high school, I just want to remind us how important these experiences are for our kids. So thank you for making that possible. And then just for a focus for this month, I wanted to just highlight some of our hiring processes. Since at the elementary school, we are searching for 4 school leadership positions. So we have a Lyseth principal opening, a Rowe principal opening, a Reiki lead teacher opening, and an opening for a teaching principal position at Peaks and Cliff Island School. So that's quite a lot at one time. Just a reminder that our work in searching for school leaders is guided by board policy GCFBA, which focuses on administrative hiring at the building level. I also just want to talk to you a little bit about how I go about approaching that process. We do start that process with kind of a needs assessment or priority setting activity within the school communities. Usually that includes a session with the full staff to help prioritize what are the proficiencies or characteristics that we are looking for in our next school leader. We also have a session with community members that may look like a coffee in the morning with a group of people, or it may look like me joining the PTO meeting, whatever seems to work better for that school community. And then we also have started distributing a survey to the school communities so that they can prioritize the characteristics that are most important to them. And then we bring that information to our committees so that they can use that information in designing the questions and the performance tasks that we will ask candidates to engage in when they come to us. And for the committee members, our policy says that we need to have a minimum of 6 people, but it is usually closer to 15 people that engage in these like selection committees. And we have 3 rounds of interviews. One is a selection committee that's at the school level. After we identify candidates that we want to move forward from that group, I have a meeting with the school administrator who will be returning, and usually another PAA member. And then once we have that interview, then the final interview goes to the superintendent before it comes to the board. And our goal is to bring to the board for the first meeting in June our candidates for these positions. So I feel like we have had a good start, and we're kind of doing our outreach now to make sure that our candidate pools are strong, so that we have good people to start in the fall. And oops. Here we go. Oh, going too fast there. And then I just want to let you know, Presumpscot Elementary School is hosting a screening of Building Hope, Ending Homelessness on April 2nd. So that's tomorrow from 2:45 to 45. That will include a panel that is with support from our foundation for Portland Public School Friends. And since this topic is on homelessness, I also just wanted to just call to mind the 607 students whose families from our community are unhoused. We do generally see those numbers increase throughout the year from September to June. And so they just want to keep those families in mind. And I'll just pause for any questions.
All right. Any board members or student representatives have questions? Yes, Board Member Lena, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I just have a clarifying question about the different roles that are open at the elementary school leadership. I know we have 2 principal roles and then teacher leader and teaching principal. Is there any difference in terms of like experience or credentialing that's needed for those roles?
So principals, pretty straightforward. So you have a principal certification at the state of Maine. For our lead teachers, they're would expect it to be experienced teachers. Once they are in that role, I recommend that they get at least the assistant building administrator certification, which is what's required for assistant principals. It essentially means you've taken school law, special education law, supervision and evaluation, and organizational behavior. Two of our current lead teachers we also have a lead teacher at Peaks currently, and of those 2 have completed their principal certification, and another one will complete that one this year. So in my mind, for the lead teacher, there are 3 lead teachers at Reiki. I do would want to make sure that there is administrative certification among that group of 3. But whenever through the hiring process, it just requires a teaching certification, but with, extensive leadership experience. The teaching principal position at Peaks and Cliff is actually new this year. That's it would be new in the upcoming budget. And that is a certification it's administrative certification under the state, but it is 50% admin and 50% like a teaching responsibility. So we will look to see what teaching responsibility makes sense depending on what the candidates look like in the pool. But we are finding that we need somebody who has more release time in that role to manage both the Cliff Island School Building and the Peaks Island School Building. So that's our goal with that. But yeah.
Thank you.
Board Member Ali.
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask, can you go to the last slide that we were just on? Which, with Building Hope and Ending Homelessness, is that like is there any organizations that's working with that, or is it just the school?
So you can look, the link is there that kind of discusses the who's producing and making the film. It does feature families in Maine who have experienced homelessness. And so that is, a community conversation around homelessness and, how we might hope to end that in our community.
Thank you.
I had just a couple of questions. One, I might just invite us to think about a different name for the Maple Thanksgiving, just because I get the concept as maybe like a feast, but it feels like a little bit in conflict with our Wabanaki studies. And while not everyone a lot of people do celebrate of Thanksgiving. A lot of people don't. So I would just invite us to think if there's another more inclusive term. And then I was just curious, and you may not be able to speak to this tonight, but I would love to get more information about this. In regards to attendance, and specifically attendance around our immigrant and refugee students. I've just been hearing a lot in the community about just a lot of fear and a lot of keeping kids home from school. And so just curious if we are actually seeing that in attendance numbers, and if so, kind of how are we responding to that?
Mm-hmm. I'll look into the name. I mean, my understanding is that Fiona that it was a part of that unit and that included our Wabanaki advisors. So, but I will look into that and get back to you on that. And then as far as attendance, I will really say what we're seeing an impact from is the illness that is happening at the elementary level. So, and that it has been a pretty tough month for illness across the board. And while we did hear a few things on with a couple people keeping their children out on a day without immigrants, we aren't seeing or hearing much more than that. It's really, I think, the illness that has been kept people out, and we definitely did see an increase in our chronic absenteeism this past month.
Thank you. Board Member Ali?
No, the hands was from before.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Does anybody else have questions? I can't see the room, so if your hand is up, let me know.
You're fine.
Okay, great. Well, thank you, Dr. Atkinson-Duina. I appreciate the update, and I think we're going to move on to the next section, which tonight we have the report of the secretary. So we have the consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of March 18th, 2025. Are there any corrections to the meeting minutes from March 18th, 2025? And if there are, please speak into your microphone so that I can hear any corrections that need to be made.
There's none in the room.
Thank you. So if there's no corrections, the minutes are going to be approved as they were distributed. And now we have new business. So tonight we have 3 items of new business, 2 of which we'll take up as workshops after after the adjournment. But up first, we have a first read of the consideration and action to recommend the fiscal year 2026 school budget to City Council. Chair Bryden, would you like to speak to this motion?
Yes, I would. Thank you so much, Chair. So the Finance, Operations, and Personnel Committee has had several conversations over the last several months. I want to express my gratitude both to my fellow members of the committee and also to staff for all of the energy and time that's been poured into this process. So over the late winter and early spring, we had several conversations about specific topic areas that committee members wanted to learn more about. So staff gathered information so that we could better understand the potential implications of making adjustments in certain areas. Since March 4th, when the superintendent presented the budget, we've had discussions about the superintendent's budget. And then at our most recent committee meeting, we voted unanimously to move the budget on to the full board, which is why we are in this specific procedural posture right now. There was one amendment that was also unanimously approved during that committee meeting. And just quickly give everybody a general sense of what that amendment covered. It was essentially a cleanup of a few typos and also an adjustment to reflect the fact that the Foundation for Portland Public Schools, will be able to has agreed to take on fundraising for some non-personnel related items. So the budget that has been unanimously moved from the committee onto the full board is now approximately $40,800 smaller than what Superintendent Scallon brought forward on March 4th. So again, I want to express my appreciation and gratitude for staff for spending so much time and energy giving the committee the information that we needed as a committee to be able to do our work. Not only was it thorough information, was very well presented, easy to follow, really good collaborative process, and gratitude to my fellow committee members for the thoughtful work in that process. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So this will be coming up for a second read next week, in which that's when any amendments will be made at the board level. I know we are still potentially waiting on some benefits information, and so that could affect that conversation as well. And just want to express appreciation for kind of the kind of all the information that's been gathered as potential cuts that we might make or reductions should we need to, based on the cost of benefits. Superintendent Scallon, is there anything else you would add before we move on from here?
No, I appreciated Chair Bryden's summary, so thank you.
Beautiful. And just a reminder to the board, if you are going to be proposing an amendment, best practice is to email that amendment out to the board in advance of the meeting next week so that people can ask questions and think about it before we are in the meeting itself. And we do try to post those amendments to board docs in advance so the public can see them as well. If you have any questions about how to do that, you can reach out to myself or Chair Bryden. We'll be happy to help you. Up next, we have the first read of the 2025-2026 school year calendar. Dr. Warren, I know we're doing a workshop on this, but is there anything you'd like to speak to now?
What? You want me to go up? Oh, I can't hear what you're saying. No, there's nothing that we need to talk about now. I think we can put it all into the workshop conversation.
Beautiful. And then finally tonight we have the first read of policy ACA, equity policy. Dr. Warren, I assume this will be the same and we'll cover it in workshop?
Yes, exactly. Thank you.
Beautiful. So with that, I will move to adjourn the meeting. Is there a second? Can I see a hand? Thank you, Board Member Bryden. All those in favor, please show your hands. Okay, I think I can see everybody. Looks like unanimous. So we're going to be adjourned at 7:41.